Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Dorley. I'm CEO of Nutritional Frontiers, and we're breaking through nutritional boundaries. Welcome back to the Jamie and Joe Show. The one and only Joe Messino. Welcome back, Joe. How we doing?
We're doing great. We're here. This is the longest running episodic duo healthy talk show on the air all over the world. And we're still running strong. And still the most.
And you know, today is the second day for New Year's resolutions. It's a Monday
after the Super Bowl.
And this happens to fall on your favorite holiday.
Oh, it sure does. Yes. St. Valentine's Day. Because it's actually an Italian holiday.
Of course, they all are one way or another. They all trace back to food
yes.
and drinks, right?
Yes.
So Valentine's Day is no different.
Yeah, it's all Italian.
But this day is extra special today, Joe.
Yeah, it is.
Because, you know, we have to give props to the one and only, the international icon, the co-founder of Nutritional Frontiers. He was the founder of originally the Pain Release Clinic, the Weiner Wellness Center, and now the World of Wellness. The international icon, Dr. James Howard Weiner. Happy 75th birthday in heaven, Doc. So proud to have been a protege of yours.
Yes.
And without you, I would not have met Joe Messino and so many other great people. So, you know, I know you're looking down on us, and hopefully you are smiling today, Joe.
Yeah, I think he's smiling, Jamie, because, you know, it was important for him to leave a legacy, to leave something behind. And he's done that. And it's you know, when he had that partnership with you, that cemented this thing moving forward.
Absolutely. And we always give his due. I met Dr. Weiner 20 years ago down on the South Side. And I still remember the first words he said to me. I was on my hands and knees. I was stocking the shelves. He came in and he goes, "I like this guy." And he walked away. And I said, "Well, that's good."
That's good. There you go.
So we proceeded to have lunch at one of his favorite vegetarian restaurants right across the street from his old wellness center in the South Side. And then, you know, that's when I met you.
Yeah.
Actually, about a month, not even a month later.
No, not
the
even.
First event we did.
Big event.
I was driving by there this week, and I went to Boyce Park. And I said, "Oh, there it is.
There it is.
UPMC, which used to be Almanzo's Palace Inn, the hotel where we did the original wellness events."
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, I'll tell you the first time I met Doc, and you, of course, were at Metagenics at the time. I was at Douglas Laboratories at the time. And he was a very, fairly big account even back then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really. And he was really one of the only guys on the radio. And he loved that fact. In fact, he loved it so much that the first thing he would say to somebody when he met them is, "Have you heard me on the radio? Did you listen to my show? Do you know I'm on this many hours a week?"
And the second thing is, he
Yeah.
would pull out the radio schedule
the schedule
and hand it to him, right?
Right. So the rep that was handling his account originally, he cautioned me, but he goes, "You got to listen to Doc's show
There's some good ones, Phil.
before you meet him." I said, "Okay." So I did. And so he came up for a tour at Douglas Labs, and he walked in, and I said, "Hello, Dr. Weiner, Joe Messino." I said, "I got to tell you, I love your show." Well, his eyes lit up, his big smile. He didn't even get a chance to ask me, so he loved it. But I did love his show. And then he had me on as a guest. That was my first, my first time on the radio in Pittsburgh with Doc.
Health Breakthroughs.
Yep.
Dr. James Weiner.
Yep.
It's like wine with an R at the end. His great ancestors were winemakers.
Yes.
In the old country. Now, Doc didn't drink, of course.
Nope.
Except that one time he had the little cheers with us after we hit a big event. And then there he is, doing his international travels.
Yeah.
He was such a interesting guy. And you look back at his history, art major, undergraduate, Brandeis University. I love when he would say he should have went to Harvard because Brandeis is a better school, ranked number 3. Harvard was 7, but no one knew what Brandeis was, or most people. So he was, of course, top of the class, Joe.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then Life University for chiropractic college, and number 1 in his class there, of course. And an interesting background overall, but he worked with some of the pioneers in the industry. You look at his background. He studied under Dr. Price and Pottinger, right?
Yes,
Let's
Weston
hear about
Price.
those guys.
Oh, my God, Dr. Weston Price. I mean, talk about somebody who was ahead of his time. I mean, the whole issue with vitamin K2 and calcium, we have Dr. Weston Price to thank for that, who was actually a dentist, and he was traveling the world and interviewing all of these cultures, and he noticed the ones that were not developed had better teeth and bones. And he narrowed it down, but he originally called it Activator X, and then they've realized it was vitamin K2. So yeah, Doc worked with him and brought that information.
There's one of my favorite pictures of Doc when he was traveling overseas, and in such good shape, all tanned up and smiling from ear to ear.
Look at that view. Oh,
beautiful. So he worked with Dr. Price.
Even though he wasn't Italian, he loved Italy.
A little bit of Italian in him, I'm sure, at one point or another. So, the other thing the people he worked with was the Gerson Institute.
Yes.
Dr. Max Gerson, Charlotte Gerson.
Right.
Howard Strauss, her son, the grandson. So a really interesting group. The Gerson Institute is located in Southern California. Right outside San Diego, and they have another clinic in Mexico. They do some of the real extreme alternative therapies that they can't do in the U.S. But Dr. Gerson was interesting because, he helped somebody with autoimmune condition back in the 50s by changing their diet, way before his time. So Doc would work with them, have them on the radio, and all of Charlotte Gerson's books and everything. And I know they weren't big proponents originally of nutraceuticals, but they did a lot of juicing, which really inspired Dr. Weiner and myself and you and our team to elaborate and expand the Pro Color line, right? Exactly. Because Doc loved doing those every day. Remember, he'd come in and he'd do a scoop of the reds, the oranges,
that mug. It was about this big, right?
He would do the reds, oranges, purples, and greens. And I said, Doc, it's so nice that your office manager makes your drinks. He says, everyone needs a butler. So he's always quick with the compliment, one way or another. But he always did the reds, oranges, purples, and greens. I'm sure Phil will put up a picture of them because those were Doc's favorite.
They were, yeah, absolutely. He did it every single day. I'll never forget that big mug. And he would just stir it with a spoon.
Yes.
Right? He didn't even put it in a blender.
No, so with all his work at the Gerson Institute, he realized that the importance of juicing. Now, they would do 13 juices a day. That's their protocol. One every hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Unbelievable, right? And then you look at the Reds. That was the original formula we came out with, the Pro Reds. And Doc loved this. And in fact, you remember Doc wouldn't wear his eyeglasses anymore. And he swears it was the Pro Reds with the lycopene and lutein in there that improved his eyesight.
That's right. He used it all the time in his protocols for that very reason. He used to sell those big juicers, remember?
Yes.
But they were expensive.
Champion juicers. They looked like a transmission from my old Mustang.
Oh, exactly. They looked like part of the engine, right? But, he knew how important it was, but they were expensive, and a lot of the clientele couldn't afford them, which prompted the Pro Colors as an alternative.
Oh, absolutely. Because he said, look, and then the other thing is, if you have I always ask people, they say, oh, I have a juicer. Okay, you have the juicer. Do you use the juicer daily? When's the last time you used a juicer? I know why I don't use one. Why is that?
Because they're a pain.
Scientific explanation. Thanks, Joe. They are a pain and the toughest, right?
Yes, they are.
So the problem with the juicing is that, first of all, you have to go find the organic food.
Yes.
You have to buy just enough you're going to use without it going bad. Not everything's in season all the time.
That's right.
And probably the least favorite part of the juicing is the cleaning of the
Oh yeah.
So I do, however, use the greens, reds, oranges, and purples. My favorite right now. And I do rotate. I don't discriminate. I like them all.
Yep.
So I do like the greens right now with the Power Cleanse.
Right. That's one that we've been advocating since the beginning of the year, even in December. We were talking about getting an early start, making sure that you get the body cleansed, and the greens is the best for that, without a doubt, hands down.
And Doc was a strict vegan vegetarian for 46 years?
As long as I can remember, as long as he would, he
famous quote was, don't eat dead animals.
Yes.
And he said the reason why is they're pro-inflammatory, right? And that there's a lot of food allergies to animals when you eat them. So I do eat some meat and some fish and chicken. However, Doc did not. So what we did, Joe, as a collaboration together, we brought out the Power Cleanse and the Super Shake. He loved the Super Shake.
Oh, my God, I know. Well, then that got added to the 4 colors.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had.
So what did that drink look like?
I don't know what you know. What the color of that drink is undescribable. I don't think there is a color.
Dark brown.
Dark brown is what it came out because he used the chocolate.
Yeah, he liked chocolate super shake with a scoop of greens, reds, oranges, and purples as a minimum every day.
Yeah, every day.
And he would mix it up with the spoon, and sure enough, he would eat that away. So he learned that from the Gerson Institute.
Yeah.
And their whole program is vegan, vegetarian program. Because, look, they're dealing with some extreme patients, right?
A lot of cancer.
You're looking at cancer, autoimmune, MS, right? All these really chronic, debilitating disease.
Right.
And what they found, the number one or top two things, and that's where we learned it, is toxicity and nutrient deficiencies.
Yeah, exactly. And we talk about that. That's our story to this day because we're still toxic. We're still nutrient deficient as a population. And we've got the tools to fix that. And it all started right there.
With Dr. Weiner. And, you know, he had such an interesting history. So he had actually been putting on these wellness events going back to 1970.
Ooh.
I was still in diapers in 1970.
Wow. Yeah. 1970. I wasn't driving yet, but
no,
I was
you're getting close.
Getting close.
Yeah. So originally was Health Horizons was his events he put on in the D.C., Baltimore area. He brought him to Pittsburgh with his lovely, beautiful girlfriend, Barbara, of course. And they would do these events. You're going back to over 50 years, right?
Yeah, incredible. I mean, he was doing wellness events before he was even a chiropractor.
That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah.
So what he was doing was these events and running a chain of health food stores. And then he realized, you know what? People don't listen to me. I better become a doctor.
Yeah.
And he was smart enough to go to med school, right? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't going to use medicine. So he went to chiropractic school. And he said that was one of his regrets, that he did not go to medical school because he felt like he didn't get the credibility or the respect that he should have got from that. What's your thoughts, Joe?
Well, I think that's something that plagues the industry in general, not just Dr. Weiner. You know, there was always this time when when MDs would look down on chiropractors, where the chiropractor, just by nature knows more about the body and nutrition and holistic health than MDs do.
I remember Doc, he wanted to go to the events. He felt like we didn't want him there. And we said, Doc, if you'll come, we can't wait. Like, we don't get time. So I remember the first event he was at, first person he met, they asked him what kind of doctor he was. He says, an O doctor. This is an O doctor. What do you mean? He says, why would you say it? He goes, well, people ask me what kind of doctor is. I say, I'm a chiropractor. And they go, oh. Yeah. So he was always quick-witted. And let's talk about this guy.
That's
one. Ronbo, right? It's Ron.
Yes, unbelievable.
Let me preface the story.
Oh, do we have a before picture with this guy?
We do. I don't know if we're going to show it. Yeah, it is very traumatizing.
This is the after. Yeah.
So I'm at a wellness event. It's a true story. I'm at the wellness event. This gentleman walked in, and we're going to find the picture in a minute. He walked in what I call a turnip-sized black growth coming out of his ear.
Yes.
It looked like he fell into the ground and somehow a turnip or some kind of plant was in his ear. It was at least this big. Look at a softball. It was black growing out of his ear.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I did?
You went the other way.
Yeah. Because I turned around and went outside and made a phone call because I was scared. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. And I was like, this poor guy. So, of course, the GOAT, Mike Gallagher, went running up to him. And the gentleman explained that he had cancer in his ear, and they wanted to cut it out, off. Which means
cut the ear.
Yeah, cut part of the head off. So he ran back and got Dr. Weiner, as well, docs treating patients. Came out, met with the gentleman, put him on the protocol, which included our DMG, our Immunomax from Nutritional Frontiers, our ProReds, vitamin D, and a whole host of other nutrients. Yeah, greens. He actually topically, he added on colloidal silver, the Miracle 2 gel, and he put him on the protocol. And Joe, lo and behold, look at this guy.
This was
That's the ear. Yeah.
And that was like in about 3 months.
I think he has a picture of it on his chest when he had the tumor, right? So it's hard to see. But so I learned at that point, another one of Doc's famous quotes, anything can cause anything.
That's right.
And if you give the body what it needs,
it can repair itself. Yes, the body will heal if you give it what it needs.
And I realized at that point, now I've been doing this 20-something years at that point, I realized I need to go back and read Doc's door. His door, he had a bumper sticker on it that said, the mind and the parachute work alike. They work much better when they are open.
Yeah, right.
And I realized at that point, I need to do a better job of being open-minded, because Doc had experience of treating people and getting them healthy from things that other people said they had no possible way to improve.
And there's no better example than this case, because this is a perfect example of, modern medicine would go to their standard protocol, cut, burn, poison. For this gentleman, they wanted to cut it off because they had no
attracted
clue.
Some of the best doctors in the field. This is the lovely and talented Dr. Erica Schwartz. She's right there in Fifth Avenue in New York. She was on Park Avenue before. And her famous book, she's a top-selling author. Yeah. She's been on all the Today shows, all the news shows. And she's both an incredible practice. And I love all of her books, especially Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You. Yeah. That's always a good one.
It's a great one, especially when it's coming from an MD.
Right.
If we wrote it, they'd have hung us up. But coming from her, it's okay.
And the great thing with her was that she started as an ER doctor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she realized, wow, people coming in, for a trauma or an injury or an accident, but they're already really sick to begin with.
Yeah.
So she transitioned over time to become a functional medicine doctor. She's still in practice.
Yes.
And Doc flew her in a few times.
Yeah.
For his wellness weeks.
Yeah.
And we are still honoring him with the Weiner Wellness Week name, of course. Mm-hmm. The next one's coming up when?
March 5th to the 12th. Be here before you know it. Less than 2 weeks away, folks.
So if you are a consumer or a patient, you can join us live at the Weiner Wellness Week. You can also tune in via stream like we're doing now.
Yep.
You can get the recording, and you can even participate online. So if you just want to buy things, we can ship it out right to you. Do they still get the discount now by doing it that way?
Oh, absolutely. And they'll get the discount whether you come in, whether you buy online, or whether you order over the phone. You still get the great discounts being offered for the entire Wellness Week. You come in, you get the benefit of live workshops. There's some great new food coming this time, James. Great new food coming.
Can't wait.
Yep, and we're going to have that. And, all the samples will be out. The smoothie bar will be open and running. So it's going to be a fun event.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to reconnect with like-minded individuals. We have a lot of healthcare professionals that pop in or speak for us during the event or come down and try some new samples. So we are open to anybody, patients, clients, healthcare professionals, friends, family. It don't matter. If you just want to come down and eat for free, you can do that.
Come on down.
We don't care. This is our community event. We like everyone to come down and join us, of course. We have incredible things going on that week, and that's really a testament to Dr. Weiner's appreciation and gratitude that we showed to the community, Joe.
It is. We show it for him, we show it for us, and we show it for them. We want to help. That's your motto. Make the world healthy. Jamie came up with that motto for Nutritional Frontiers.
And a motto and a mission.
And a mission, right? And it's a tough mission, but you know what? Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I remember Doc would see, he didn't treat cancer, but he would meet with cancer patients on Thursdays, and he wouldn't charge for them. And when I said, Doc, you spend with a friend's mom 2.5 hours. I says, he goes, I'm not charging it. He says, this is my ministry. He says, you have to do something in life bigger than yourself. And that's what he did. You've seen how many people he helped over the years, right?
It was incredible. Just absolutely incredible. And he influenced a lot of people as well. Okay. His influence, he was the pioneer for medical freedom. There is no doubt about it. He was the pioneer, the first to be screaming from the rooftops on the radio about medical freedom and about what to do with your babies, and all of these vaccinations way before this issue came up, right?
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up because I love that book, Vaccination is Not Immunization, written by Dr. Tim O'Shea.
Yeah.
And it's got over 300 references. I still remember, Doc, 309 references This is not an opinion book or a spiritual book. It's a book based on actual references, peer-reviewed journal.
Yes.
So I posted that the other day for somebody because they were saying to follow the science. I said, well, here's 309 references. If you don't want to read them all, read the book.
Yeah.
But those are the types of things Doc was bringing. And I think we got to, sometimes reach back into his bag of tricks here to pull out some of those more unique things, such as the beamer we're bringing in, and some of the scans we've done, the applied kinesiology. So Doc was always on the cutting edge. What was going on?
Well, I mean, our kinesiologist Jeff Nisnik is doing it because of Dr. Weiner.
Yeah,
right. That's who influenced him many years ago.
And Dr. Weiner learned NATE, which is the Vajrapad's allergy elimination technique. That's a doctor in California. And Dr. Weiner was the first one to do this in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
And now we have Jeff Nisnik. So it's called the allergy elimination technique. So if you have allergies to anything, let Jeff come in, let Jeff test you, and then he can clear these allergies more often than not.
Right.
But Doc had all kinds of unique things. Some of my favorite is home health remedies.
Uh-huh.
I can still smell the Vicks Vapor Rub because I learned that from my dad, too. My dad would load his chest up anytime he had a cold. And Dr. Weiner recommended it to me for psoriasis. If you have any skin irritations, he says, it's fantastic because it'll kill off the fungus on the skin. Now, it's not great long-term on the skin. You got to go internally. Things like Candy Kill that he invented, Superbiotics, GI Complete. Those are all tools you can use. But to give you that immediate short-term relief, Vicks Vapor Rub's fantastic.
It's been around forever. It worked then. It works now. It's the eucalyptus that works. I mean, it's just amazing. That was one of his favorites. And then one of his other favorites was, of course, the coffee enema.
Oh.
Yeah, he loved that, too.
You've done those many times.
I have not, no, but, I've heard about them. And, I prefer my coffee to go in through the top. But anyway, they do work, Jamie. It's an accepted protocol. Coffee enemas are very, very powerful enemas.
And the idea in that is that you're trying to pull toxins from the liver through the colon, right?
Yes.
So people do that. We have a whole protocol on that. The other one thing I love is what about the gallbladder liver flush, Joe?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
First time I ever heard about it was from Doc.
A lot of people are challenged with a congested gallbladder, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Maybe they need a gallbladder or have gallstones. Let's talk about that because these are all therapies that Doc was using for years. And I think what's happening with modern medicine, and even for nutraceutical, the wellness that we do or functional medicine, is a lot of these home health remedies have been lost in the last generation. I mean, I'm not that old, but I remember growing up, you'd have aloe plants in the house.
Yeah.
You'd have black salve in the house. You'd have Vicks Vapor Rub in the house.
Always.
So let's hear about Doc's infamous liver gallbladder flush.
Well, and it was so simple. It was olive oil and lemons. Olive oil and fresh lemon. I mean, if you did this based on his protocol, it would work for so many people without any other intervention. And then and here's what I also love, the fact that, even though Doc was vegetarian, when you needed an animal-based nutrient like the ox bile in Betazyme, he promoted it without hesitation.
Absolutely. So I love the home health remedies. I love the liver gallbladder flush. We also love the black salve, right? That's a drawing salve. So when we were kids, we used to play in the woods a lot. We got splinters a lot,
all the time,
cuts, abrasions, maybe little metal fibers, those types of things. So the bug bites. So the black salve was a drawing salve. You put that on with a Band-Aid, and within a day or two, it would draw whatever out. Now, Doc went a step further and used it for tumors. Let's hear about how he did that.
Well, this is one of those things. There's these, cancer not remedies, but protocols that don't get a lot of publicity. Black salve was one of them, along with vitamin B17. Right? Laetrile. I mean, these were things that don't get a lot of publicity because they're not pharmaceutically, sound, and they don't promote them. But things that were topical, like black salve. And I think he might have used that with Ron in his ear, too.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
He did use that. And it would draw out the toxin. And what is cancer? It's a toxin. And a lot of folks, including Doc, considered it to be a fungus. And that's why this would work. It would pull that out and eliminate it from the body. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just some of those therapies he would use. And he wasn't anti-medicine.
No.
But he did have a rule of thumb for any medication. You remember what it was? Do not use a medication that's been on the market for less than
7 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
Because if you do, they're doing research and it's on you.
That's right.
So I think he would have been very opposed to this rushed vaccine that's out there.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't have the long-term history of safety and efficacy.
No.
And we're seeing that right now.
We're seeing it now. And you know, like I said, he was a pioneer against forced vaccinations way back, way before all this happened.
And at least he had a strategy. He said, look, if you're going to get vaccinations, don't get them all at once.
Right.
And he even said, look at some of the genetic testing back then, because if you're going to do a vaccine, similar to what Dr. Tracy would say, have a plan in place. One is don't get them all at once. Number two is get your genetics tested, because they can show you some high risk that you may have that we may be able to biohack so that you don't suffer from some of the potential negative effects.
And he was doing biohacking before we had a name for it.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as an influencer, I'll give you a personal family history issue with him. Part of it's funny and part of it's, you know, but very serious. I mean, when my oldest daughter, this goes back to the pain release clinic down on the South Side. And Dana was having some issues and I brought her down to see Dr. Weiner. So we're waiting in that little dingy waiting room, remember? and this woman comes in a wheelchair. And so Doc comes out and he greets her. Oh, how you feeling? Are you doing better? No, I'm not doing any better. And Doc said, well, did you do this? Well, no. Well, did you take this? Well, no. Did you take? No. He goes, I can't help you if you don't do what I tell you to do. And Dana looked at me and she goes, he's yelling at that poor lady in the
wheelchair. Wait till you get in there. Yeah, you're next.
She goes, is that who I'm going to see? I said, yeah. You better do what he tells you to do. Then, let's fast forward 10 years later. And when Dana was pregnant, the first person she went to see was Dr. Weiner.
And why is that?
She wanted that baby to be healthy. And that's who she went to.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what happens is that, you know, people hear what he said, right? But they're going to pick and choose what they want to do, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that he had, I think his biggest strength was his conviction.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
When he made a recommendation, and I said, Doc, you know, we went out to eat one night. I says, you know, you really got that person scared. And he put his fork down. He looked up and he says, look, he goes, you get one shot with people. He goes, they're either going to love me or hate me, but I don't want them to be in the middle. I don't want them to be on the fence saying, oh, think it over. He goes, there's nothing to think about.
No.
He goes, I can help them if they're willing to follow the protocol. He says, if I'm not very direct with them, they won't do it. And they're going to say, I went to the Dr. Weiner and he didn't help me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, bedside manner was not his strong point, but he could. Oh, and you know what else? He had one of those. Did he have an eidentic or photographic memory?
Photographic.
Oh, my God. It was incredible what this guy could remember.
I still remember somebody called in on the radio show, right? And they were having a heart situation, cardiovascular issue. And Dr. Weiner painted a picture so vividly of the 4 chambers of the heart. You know, you have the bigger valves letting it in, the blood in, and blood going out, and the pumping of the heart, and the muscle, and magnesium is the most efficient mineral, and dehydration, and all the different medications they do for high blood pressure, if it's an ACE inhibitor or a diuretic, or, you know. And he went through the whole thing, and the guy says, wow, that was awesome. My cardiologist didn't tell me that. And Dr. Weiner says, of course he didn't. He's not smart enough. Yeah. And he would say a specialist is what?
Oh, specialist. What did he say? It was
limited
thinking.
Very small amount of knowledge.
Yes.
Whereas a chiropractor, he would learn the whole body, the bones, the joints, the skin, the organs, the nervous system, the spine, the brain, everything was taught in chiropractic.
And he was one of the first to open my eyes to that. And he said, you know, specialists, he goes, you should never treat an organ outside of the body. He says, because if you take it out of the body, it's no good. You got to treat the whole body. And I'll never forget that quote from him.
Remember his other quote? He says, modern medicine would think you're deficient of medicine and you have an overabundance of organs.
There you go. Yeah, he had a way of putting it into words, didn't he?
Let's look at Dr. Weiner's top 5 formulations, Joe, because he had some favorite products, right?
Yeah.
I'd have to say, being a chiropractor, HA Plus.
Oh my God, yeah.
Was one of his top formulas ever, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was one of the first to come out and and talk about the importance of hyaluronic acid over the standard glucosamine chondroitin mixture.
Yeah, it's funny because when I talk to healthcare professionals and they say, about getting into nutrition and they're not salespeople, they're not sure how to do that. I says, look, follow Dr. Weiner's lead. Mm-hmm. He originally sent people to the health food store.
Yeah.
And then what happened was some people got results and some didn't. And he did some further investigation. And he says, oh, my God, they have changed since I used to work at those. Some of the products are inferior. Mm-hmm. So he started developing his own formulas. Yep. And HA Plus was actually a grandfathered in product from the Dr. Weiner product line. Right. And now it became part of Nutritional Frontiers. So that was the grandfathered product in was the HA Plus. Mm-hmm. People still come in and buy it because he recommended it to them in the South Side, Joe.
That's right.
So the HA Plus will actually provide the building blocks for any connective tissue and joint. So if you're suffering from osteoarthritis, right? Joint pain, it could be knees, hips, elbows, shoulders, back. It doesn't matter. But Doc always said, HA Plus, if you take enough of it long enough, it'll help. Including for Dr. Ray Vacker, he was best man. You want to tell that great one?
Isn't that the one where he didn't want to use or didn't want to be involved with any of these products? And
a torn meniscus.
Torn meniscus, right?
And he couldn't take off because he was a one-man show. Dr. Weiner was actually his best man at his wedding. And Dr. Ray tore the meniscus. So Dr. Weiner put him on the HA Plus. And after a month, nothing. 2 months, nothing. Halfway through the 3rd month, he called Dr. Weiner and says, can this be working? Doc says, are you asking me or telling me? He says, if you take it long enough at the dosage you need, it will help. And here we are probably 8 years later. Yeah. And Dr. Ray never needed to get the meniscus repaired.
And then he became a believer and started to use the protocols.
Absolutely. So HA Plus is, I think, what I'm hearing him tell me today is his #1 product. What do you think is another one?
Well, before we go off HA Plus, I want to add in the significance of him making sure that MSM was in that formula.
Let's hear it.
Because we see nowadays a big deficiency in sulfur in the body. And sulfur is required for healing. So when you see all those old glucosamine chondroitin, they didn't have sulfur and they didn't have the right building blocks. And some people got some results and some didn't. But we're getting massive results with HA Plus for those 2 reasons, the HA and the addition of that MSM to increase the healing benefits.
Yeah, Doc was way ahead of his time. He was cutting edge. And he asked me one day, he goes, do you know why glucosamine is so popular? I said, because it works. He says it works in 80 to 85% of people. He goes, here's why. You got to take, and he went through the whole biochemistry. Yeah. He said, you got to take glucosamine, convert it to hyaluronic acid, then the synovial fluid. I said, why do you just give the hyaluronic acid? He said, great question. I said, well, you should have a great answer. He said, because it was too hard to digest orally. Right. They used to give injections or creams. He says, I'm all for those. He goes, but I found one called BioCell. And he went through all the research and the published studies showing it's in the blood in 4 hours and peaks in 12. And the thing he really loved was a double-blind study showing that the BioCell in Nutritional Frontiers HA Plus actually gets in the joint and stays in there for over 28 days. He goes, can you see now why it builds up each month and people get better and better results? He says, I recommend a higher dose initially to build it up because you don't know how much somebody's going to need before their pain threshold is comforted, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He says, so I give a higher dose the first few months, and once they're getting really good results, then I'll slowly trickle it down. But he always liked the maintenance dose.
Yeah, he did. Always a maintenance dose. But that high dose, that is where the therapeutic benefit came in. And, we hear old Mikey G all the time talking about that. And that's where he got it, was from Dr. Weiner himself.
Yeah, so HA plus I love. Great thing is half this research is on joints, the other half is on skin. So you get that PSE, that positive side effect of less wrinkles and younger looking skin. Who doesn't want
production,
that?
Collagen production.
That was way before collagen became involved with your daughter and my daughter and their friends and stuff. Folks, we've been doing collagen for 25 years in HA plus.
That's right. Absolutely. And it
that
goes from the cell, from the inside out, right?
Type 1, type 2, and type 3.
Yes.
We're using that since 2004.
That's for sure. And heal the skin from the inside out. That's always the best method.
So number one product I think that Dr. Weiner liked was HA plus. What do you think is his next one?
Well, he and it wasn't an ingestible, but he sure loved Miracle 2 soap, right? I mean, he's been using that. He used it and promoted it forever. I mean, he used to tell people to brush their teeth with it. You know, I mean, anything. You could do anything with this stuff. And he got results with it. You know, it was one of his favorites. I
went back to the gel.
Yeah.
I'm getting some soap today and some lotion because I really noticed a difference when I use the gel on my skin.
The neutralizing gel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this soap is awesome because you get done with it, your hands feel really soft.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no abrasives in it. Yeah. There's no chemicals in it. There's no dyes, no additives, nothing in there except the all natural soap. And I love that it's pH balanced, so it balances out the pH on your skin. Who doesn't love that?
Yeah, and most people don't realize that how bad the pH on your skin is because of the chlorine they're showering with in their showers and tubs. So this is an absolute must for that.
So we have HA plus for the joints. And now we have Miracle 2. There's 4 different types of soaps, all available at the Wellness Center. Yeah. But the nice thing is that they are super clean and there's no chemicals.
No.
That's how I look at them.
No. And you're so versatile. You could wash dishes with it, wash laundry with it. You could do anything with it.
Well, I have to bring up a couple of his other favorites because he had so many of them. But I have to say, believe it or not, the organic flaxseed capsules were one of his favorite personal products to use. He was a vegetarian,
right?
But he did like the Omega 3D by Nutritional Frontiers. But he recommended flax seeds for so many people for hormone balancing, right? For joint health, right? For skin issues, right? Those are primarily some of the things I remember he recommended.
Yeah, and he liked it because it was a plant-based alternative to fish oil for omega-3s. Yeah. Yeah, those were one of his favorites, but he sure did love those greens, James. I mean, the greens and Probzyme. I mean, we could just stand here and go through the line, right? Because, I mean...
Thinking 2020, right?
Oh, my God.
Brain boost.
Yes.
Yeah, he loved them all. Let's hear about we talked a little bit about his shake. Let's hear it again.
Yeah. Super Shake chocolate mixed with the purples, the greens, the oranges, and the reds. I mean, all in one. I guess we're going to have to go and have one.
I was going to say after this, it's time
for toast. We'll have to have a toast.
It's time for a Shake a Day Club.
Yeah.
Which he originated.
Yeah.
He did that shake every day on the road, at the booth, at the office. It didn't matter where he was. He was doing the Shake a Day every day.
Yeah, he sure was. His job,
seriously, he talked about his challenges with weight, right?
Yeah.
We went and did a seminar in Shipshewana, Indiana at Northern Nutrition, and Dr. Cal Streeta and the whole team, Willie and Kevin, Amish and English people combined. And they said to the doc, well, the first question he got from the audience, well, if you know so much, how come you're so fat?
Oh.
Yeah. And Dr. Weiner stood there. He smiled. He grabbed his belly and says, you're right. He says, and he explained why. He said, I work very long hours. I'm under a lot of stress. He goes, and I don't eat all day. And then where would he go at night?
He'd go to the Italian restaurant and eat pasta.
Or Indian buffet.
Or the Indian buffet.
Yeah, Indian buffet. So we started talking more because, I was in fitness and I did the exact opposite. I was more about smaller meals throughout the day. And we started talking about it. He said, Doc, that's a sumo wrestling diet.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, so you're not eating all day and you're eating a big amount of calories at night. So your body's storing those. So all we did with Doc is we broke the meals down. So he ate smaller throughout the day. And he says, I says, do the shake in the morning. he started doing the shaking, and how did his body change over the next 3 years?
Oh my God, it was incredible. And he was, of course, we all knew because he was first to tell everybody about it.
Yeah,
the inches that came off. Incredible.
I remember his belt was so he lost so much he had to put another hole in the belt. Remember?
Yeah. He had to go buy a whole new wardrobe.
Yes,
which was a good thing.
Yes, it's always a good thing you got to buy a new wardrobe. But he really broke it down scientifically. He knew this, but he said, you know what? He goes, you got to spread your food out. He goes, same with, when the vitamin D once a week thing. He says, you can't eat all your meals once a week. You can't drink your water once a week. Your body needs to be able to handle it, digest it, absorb it, assimilate, and excrete. But hey, let's talk about this because this is a beautiful baby born under Dr. Weiner's guidance. This woman was conceived, of course, as a patient, and then had the beautiful baby. And what do you think the conversation is right there?
Oh my God, it's got to be one of gratitude. Absolutely one of gratitude, heartfelt gratitude to make sure that this is a beautiful, healthy baby. And look at Doc's smile. Yeah. He loved to be able to see his work like that.
He didn't have any of his own kids, but he had probably thousands of patients that were babies. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned his bedside manners. He dealt with some extreme patients, including the autistic kids.
Yes.
Right, ADD, ADHD, and some of these kids were really extreme. And I tell you what, I never saw Doc more patient than he was with these kids. And that's a true testament to kind of heart he had, because it's not always easy.
No.
These kids come in, the parents are stressed, the kids stressed, a lot of screaming, a lot of noise going on. And man, he would give them all the time they needed.
Sure
and
did.
He helped most of them. When they followed his program, they always got results.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wish we had the photo of at his memorial. I actually brought Talia up, when I was doing my testament to him, and showed. I said, "Here's the evidence. Here's the evidence." And he influenced that. So,
absolutely. I mean, I could talk all day about him, Joe. And I hear him saying, "Go ahead, right?
Go ahead. Yeah. Don't stop now.
You're on a roll.
You forgot about this."
Yeah, but he was just a great pioneer, and people. I think they really underestimate Pittsburgh as a hub for wellness. Right?
Yeah.
We know about California,
and
New York, and Florida, and Texas, and stuff.
Right.
But you don't think of Pittsburgh. And then when I start looking at Pittsburgh, right, whatever your opinions are, that's cool. But GNC was started here, right? Without GNC, none of us would be involved in nutrition, right? So General Nutrition Center started and is still here, the corporate, right?
Yeah.
Then you had Dr. Weiner here. I think he was the next pioneer in this area, right?
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
The influence he had on so many other doctors that came after him.
Do you even know what was the first day that the pain release clinic was open? Do you know what that date was?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't either. We have to look into that. No, I don't. I thought.
Come on, Joe. You never asked.
One of us would know.
I will figure it out.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was the late 80s.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at almost 40 years now, right? 35 years. So Doc had been in nutrition for a long time before he went back to chiropractic school. So, you look at all the influence he had on me, on you, right? Even going out to Altoona, all the people that followed him out that way. Marty Gallagher locally, right? He jumped on the radio after Doc. You got Douglas Labs in Pittsburgh, Nutritional Frontiers.
Yep.
You have so many different groups that really were part of the movement here that no one thinks about Pittsburgh, Joe.
Yeah, well, we're trying to change that.
Well, the problem is, the country still thinks Pittsburgh is the steel city and all the dirty steel mills, right?
Yeah.
They haven't been here for 40 years, folks.
And on top of that, Jamie, you do have one of the biggest medical facilities in this town, too, with UPMC. So
absolutely. So, hey, we're here to honor Dr. Weiner today. Happy 75th birthday to our mentor and leader. Without him, we would not be doing what we do.
That's
so
right.
We got to give him his props today, Joe. And it's just a fascinating story that he was born on Valentine's Day.
I know. Yeah, I can't. I'll never forget his 70th birthday party. He loved it, right?
Adam and I were talking about this morning. That was one of the happiest times I ever saw Doc at his 70th birthday. We had a nice little shindig together. It was right downstairs.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody had ever really thrown him a party before.
No,
right?
No, and he well deserved. And he did such a nice job. And, being that he's born on Valentine's Day, it shows us how big of a heart he had, right? Oftentimes he gave everything he had. And look, for the legacy he has, to have the Weiner Wellness Week, 5 weeks a year after him, Joe.
That's right. We have to, that's going to keep his memory and his mission alive. We talk about our mission, but it stemmed from him, right? It was his mission. He was the pioneer of medical freedom, folks, and having choices beyond the basic medical options. So without Doc, I don't know, just be a different world right now.
Well, happy birthday, Dr. Weiner. Thanks for all your guidance and leadership. You're greatly missed by not only our team, but all the patients that come in and everybody in the community. So thanks, Doc. We appreciate everything you did.
Thanks, Doc. Absolutely. Gratitude, we've got a ton of it for you. That's why we're here. So
happy birthday, and hope you're looking down and you're proud of us.
Absolutely.
God bless, folks. Have a great day.